Thank you for those who are here with me today, and I invite you to make yourself comfortable, sit back and relax during this time together today. And I'll start with an acknowledgement here. The acknowledgement being that where I live, work, and play is located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish people of the Kikite First Nations, and inviting you to also make that acknowledgement if it's available for you, if it's something meaningful for you as well, wherever you are. And a very brief overview of what to expect for today until 5 o'clock Pacific. So that's just under 2 hours now. And I'll be starting in a moment just with some words about mindfulness, because we are here to be mindful together. And then I will talk about why now, very briefly, about why I decided to do this event today and now. And we'll set an intention together, do some mindful breathing and the first Qigong movement. And I'll say a little bit about Qigong as well for those of you who are new to Qigong. And then I'll share with you what my ideas around the embrace and release that I'm offering you today and what that means to me. And we'll explore that together, and I'll be offering you some prompts as well to explore further. And then do some Qigong movements, and that will be an offering for you if you wish to follow along, or you're welcome to watch me or do some other movement offering of your own. That is completely up to you. And then I'll start to wind down there, and we'll look at any insights that you've been able to take away, resources that you can create for yourself. And then I will finish with a meditation as we close our time. And it may sound like, I'm not sure if it sounds like a lot of time for us to be together for the almost 2 hours, but it actually ends up going quite quickly. There will be a replay of this as well available on my YouTube channel, and a link from my website too for those of you who aren't here live. Welcome to you watching the replay as well. I'm also, as well as in the room, I am in here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live as well. So welcome, whatever platform that you're viewing from. The idea around this is also for it to be experiential. So whatever way that you are wanting to be here is what I'm offering you. So let's offer for you what you need to be comfortable in this space, to have your phones off. And actually, I'm going to check my phone after all that kerfuffle of so let me just see, make sure. Okay, yes, my phone is off. So making sure all distractions are away. If this is a time of being intentional for you, and you may wish to have a journal or something to write on as we do some expressing together and what we're going to be sharing together as well. Very briefly, mindfulness to me is the moment of being present, and also just paying attention to whatever is coming up for you. And you may have your own version of mindfulness, and I'll invite you to explore what that version of mindfulness, what that definition, what mindfulness means to you. But for me, it is being present and open without judgment. That's perhaps an important part of it, without judgment to whatever is coming up in the moment. So welcoming what's coming in and not looking and labeling it as good or bad. It's just an experience. And that the idea of mindfulness is a sense of presence, and for me it's groundedness as well. And so how can we explore that in the context of what we're doing today, and this embrace and release and the mindful approach to acknowledging conflict in this way? Why now for me is I have been noticing, as I'm sure we all have, there is a lot of conflict globally, and then it reverberates from that global experience, the environmental experience, into what's affecting us, and can create internal conflict for us. And so whether it is an experience that's coming from your the global awareness of what's happening to you, and that global could be world, the global could be your community, the global for you could be even your family, or it may be very personal and individual to yourself. And so that internal conflict, and even just recognizing that without taking sides or making anyone wrong or blaming, my hope here is to offer you a space to sit quietly, take a pause and step back, and then to be able to consider what's coming up for you, and then what you might do about it, what the resources are that you already have that you can utilize to help you navigate and process, if that's available to you, in terms of the conflict. So that's why now there's like many things happening all over at all different levels in the world right now. And I was experiencing a sense of helplessness as I was supporting clients as well, listening to and supporting them with what was happening for them. And my offering here is to, in what small way that I can offer, to create this pause, this space for anyone who might find it helpful and supportive. And so that's the why now. And I'll just give you a couple of moments here, a minute or so, if you would like to write down an intention of this time and this space that you're spending here today. And the idea around the intention is to allow you to focus on what you want from this time that you have invested, that you've dedicated for you. I'll be guiding you, but you're the one making this investment, taking this pause. And so in a moment, I'll invite you, whatever's coming up for you, what you would like as the best possible outcome of this time together today, and what you'd like for yourself as an intention, so that your attention can go there and your energy can flow there, and you can make the most out of this time that you've put aside for you. So my hope is that there's something you've captured there, if you've written it down, or perhaps you just closed your eyes and took a moment and to decide how you want to show up here today, to be intentional and to create that attention. And as we start to transition to talking about the idea of embrace and release and acknowledging conflict from a place of mindfulness, I'm going to invite you to take 3 mindful breaths, 3 intentional breaths, and we're going to also couple that with a Qigong movement called Pulling Down the Heavens. So So let me just show you the movement and then we'll do it together. I'm going to back up just a little bit here just to show you what I'm doing. If you can do this seated, I'm standing, my feet are hips width apart, and actually let me back right up to here for right now so you can see my hands. So we'll just start with our hands. My feet are hips width apart, my shoulders are down and relaxed, and my spine is straight, and just soft knees. So if you're standing, just a gentle bend in them, not locked. And I'll show you the movement, and we're going to do it 3 times. It's called pulling down the heavens. And we're just like rising up, and as we come up towards our shoulders, we're going to turn our palms up and then go above our heads. I'm just going to bend down so you can see my hands are just coming above my head here. You don't need to bend like this, I'm just showing you. And then we're just going to draw the movement down in front of us. So that's the movement, and we'll do this 3 times together with breathing, and I'll just guide you through it. You can follow along, or you may have your own version of how you would like to do this. And so breathing in, and then starting to release your breath, turning your palms upwards, and you're welcome to look up at the sky as well. And then you're going to bring your hands down in front of you and imagine the energy washing down in front of you as well. So bringing in what you need and then releasing into the earth as we're pushing down into the earth what you don't need here. And we're going to do that a second time. The movement is the same, but where we're placing our attention is going to be slightly different. So breathing in here and then releasing on an out breath. And this time the intention of where you're focusing is down the back of your body, and you're going to be sending the attention down the back of your body, down the back of your spine, behind your legs, and then down into the earth. And then the final gesture here, breathing in and calling in the energies of the earth. And if you want, as you turn your palms up, of just like whatever energy is around you in the skies. There's a full moon that's still up there, and then just bringing the attention down, imagining the energies coming down through the center of your through your crown chakra, for those who know chakras, or just the center, and then coming in internally into your internal organs, and just bringing that attention down and just feeling that energy wash down, and then letting go of anything you don't need and into the earth. And so that's the 3 pulling down the heavens. And we'll just do it once more, and I'm just going to invite you just to bring attention to whatever you need to and release all the words that I've just shared. And the first movement will be thinking of the energy coming down the front of your body, the second down the back of your body, and then the third into your internal organs. And so you may want to bring in whatever you want for this. And as I mentioned, the movement will always be in the front of your body, but the intention of the energy will be front, back, and then internally. So just breathing in and then release. And at your own pace, as you come up and breathe in again, and then releasing, and the out breath. And then finally, last one, breathing in. And then as you raise your palms and gather in, releasing on an out breath and letting go of anything that you don't need. And so that was pulling down the heavens that we're doing. And now I would like to offer you what I'm considering in terms of the idea of embracing and release. And I would invite you to have your journals available, or you may just want to listen to this, whatever is available to you and important for you in terms of, as you listen to me, if there's any notes, anything that bubbles up for you in terms of something that you hear that might help and be evocative for you, whether you agree, disagree, just allowing your experience here. So the idea for me around embracing is that there's 3 aspects to embracing conflict. And it may sound strange for the idea of, why would I want to embrace conflict? But there's a concept of if we don't pay attention to these aspects of ourselves that may cause us to feel stuck or cause us some version of suffering, that they can actually become, well, the mindfulness idea that I use, if whatever you resist persists. So if you're not exploring as a possibility what your relationship with conflict is, and you might be just pushing it away or feeling distracting yourself from it and not thinking about it, it's still bubbling up there for you, and then it can be coming out in other ways without you even realizing that things are happening. And it could be an uncomfortable feeling you don't know, or just unplaced rage, not being, or anger or frustration or impatience, and not being aware of that. And so that's the idea that I'm offering around embracing. And there's 3 aspects to this embrace idea. One is to explore, the second is expand, and the third is express. And we're going to touch on each of those very just as a seed to plant for you. And the first one is exploring your relationship with conflict. And the prompt here that I would offer for you is, what is my relationship with conflict? So I'll give you a moment there just to consider what comes up for you when you ask that question. And maybe you don't even expect an answer right now. Perhaps it's just a question you ask without expectations, without judgment. What is my relationship with conflict? So I'm going to pause here and allow you to explore that a little bit, either by writing it down or just quietly considering it, what comes up for you. And as I said, it doesn't have to be the answer. It could even just be considering the question. And now I'll let you take what you've written there or considered or what's coming up for you. And there's no right or wrong here. We're just exploring here. And just to extend that, to add to that, what can I learn from past experiences with conflict? So we're furthering the exploration here. As you consider past experiences that you've had with conflict, and it could be any type of conflict. There's a lot of different types of conflict, but whether it's to do with your career, with you personally, or, as I said, considering what's happening out in the world, what can you learn? Asking yourself, what can I learn from past experiences with conflict? So I'll give you a moment to consider that. And so as we move to the next part of embrace, the idea here is to expand. And by expanding, I'm offering your capacity to manage conflict. And so, first of all, considering for you what it means to you about having a capacity to manage conflict. And what that might be. It's very personal. You might feel that you have limited capacity. Some people I know actually thrive and welcome conflict because it can feel like an opportunity for them. So do you find that when you come up against conflict, you might constrict or contract? Or is there some possibility of like, oh, I could learn something here? So just offering for you what that means to you in terms of a capacity to manage conflict. And the question here from that capacity to manage conflict is now, what do I already know about myself in terms of my capacity to manage conflict? What do I already know about myself in terms of my capacity to manage conflict? And then the final part of embracing here is expressing your emotions around conflict, allowing yourself and giving yourself permission to express your emotions around conflict. And express is what I'm offering here, but before, and the first step in expressing, if you like, is to be able to first identify what are your emotions around conflict. So the first step there is a question such as, when I experience conflict, then I. And so there could be feelings coming up, there could be emotions coming up, there could be memories coming up, there could be bodily sensations, there could be all of those in some form coming up. So just identifying that for yourself as the first step. I'll give you a moment there. When I experience conflict, then I. How would you end that sentence? How would you end that start? And now the second part here, taking a look at what you have considered. If it ideally it's helpful to have it written down there, is how can you give yourself permission to express your emotions, your feelings, your experience about conflict? Like, what would that permission be like? What would that expression be like for you? And so the offerings here are as a start to prime you to ideally and ultimately feel a better sense of embracing conflict through this exploring, expanding, and expressing. And so that's the first part in here of how to mindfully approach conflict and what it means to you. Underlying this is a curiosity about yourself in terms of conflict. It's very hard to be curious about something at the same time as feeling that you might be suffering or in a limited capacity, because curiosity requires an openness. Oftentimes I find when I'm operating from what I call fear and scarcity, I'm not able to be curious. And so these offerings are to help you create some curiosity about how you are in terms of conflict. The second part of what I'm offering here is the release. And by releasing and considering releasing conflict, it can allow you to move through something and to be able to unburden yourself as well. It takes up a lot of energy to hold on to conflict, and within conflict can be anger, frustration, even rage, impatience. So there's some of the qualities that can happen in conflict. There's some of the, in Qigong you call it acquired emotions. So the aspects here of releasing, the three areas that I'll be exploring with you today, are to recognize, respect, and release. So those three, recognize, respect, and release, and we'll go through each of those. So the first is to allow yourself to acknowledge that you're experiencing conflict. So there may be a present conflict that you're dealing with right now, whatever that could be, and just allowing yourself to acknowledge that that's happening for you, to recognize that. And to give yourself the space to consider that. You may not even realize that something that is bothering you, that has been staying with you, is conflict. And just to offer that as a possibility. And the prompt here might be, if I allow myself to acknowledge that I'm experiencing conflict then, and what might come after that? And then the next part here is respect. The second part of this, respect. And from respect here, I'm offering that being integrity with any inner conflict or any external conflict, or it might be a bit of both. And so being in integrity is like, are you aligned? Are you feeling that your values are in alignment here? Are you being true to yourself? Are you being honest with yourself about the conflict? And so just checking in, because sometimes the conflict can be as an inner experience because you may not be being as honest with yourself or as honest with the other person or as honest with whatever the prompt is, whatever has created the conflict for you. It's just like, what's really going on for you? And so the question here to explore is, how can I be in integrity with conflict for myself and in relation to the other? Or it might be others, plural. And then asking it as both and. So how can I be in integrity with the conflict with myself and in relation to the other or others? And then the final part of this is about releasing, relinquishing, letting go. And earlier I had mentioned to you, as we started talking about this, of just, if we don't pay attention to something that may be getting in our way or it's causing us to feel stuck, it can persist because we're resisting it. And so the questions here in terms of allowing to let go is, who would I be if I were not holding on to this conflict? Who would I be if I were not holding on to this conflict? Or you may want to shift that a bit. Who could I be if I were not holding on to this conflict? And then another way of looking at that is, what could be possible for me and the other, if there's someone else involved, if I were to let go of this conflict? What could be possible for me and the other if I were to let go of this conflict? So in this release part, we've recognized, we've looked at the concept of respect and release. So these steps are recognize, respect, and release. And that's the second part. The first was embrace, explore, expand, and express. And then the second part, release, recognize, respect, and release. And I know there's a lot of questions there to explore, but that's part of the curiosity about your relationship with conflict, starting there, and then what could come out of it. And then the final possibility here that I would offer for you is to consider, if my conflict experience offered a message for me, what would it say? Or you might want to shorten that to, if my conflict offered a message for me, what would it say? So my hope is that there's some aspects in there that may be helpful for you to explore, and that those steps would be able to help you have a better sense of embracing and releasing conflict. And so as I offer that to you, I'm just going to give you some space and time to consider that in this pause of what's coming up in this moment. What are you aware of in your moment? And so in terms of this exploration, expansion, and expression for the embrace, and then the releasing of recognizing, respect, and release for the conflict, I would offer for you that you already have the answers, whether they're coming to you in this moment, but there is an inner wisdom that's available for you based on your past experiences of conflict that you may then be able to bring into any current conflict that you're dealing with. And perhaps just to allow yourself to trust in that wisdom. Or maybe these are some questions you might want to explore with someone that you trust, another person that you trust, that you could explore some of these ideas, some of these questions with further. And can you explore these ideas and what's coming up for you without judgment? You may find that a story is coming up for you around it as you're answering the questions. Or oftentimes I'll hear someone express something and then they'll say, but. And I had a teacher who would say, but is where the bleep comes out. So you can fill in that bleep. And it's just so that, we what could be possible if you could invite and give yourself permission to have this different relationship with conflict. So as we start to let that go, and I'm going to now take you through a Qigong sequence. And before I do that, let me just give you a little bit of information about Qigong for those of you who may not be familiar. That so Qigong is one of the modalities that I practice in as well, that I offer to my clients who are interested. And Qi, a lot of people are more familiar with Tai Chi, which actually is comes under the umbrella of Qigong. Qi is Chinese for energy or life force, and Gong is effort or the cultivation of skill through practice. And so putting that together is that cultivating energy is probably or life force is an easy way of thinking about it. And so by cultivating the energy and these practices, for me, it is a energetic level of the physical, the emotional, and then also into the spiritual source. So it's not a belief system, but it's taking in from those environmental energies as an example. And it's just another way that I offer for clients in terms of being able to have more information about their experience. Another aspect that I wanted to bring this into in terms of the conversation and this idea about conflict is in regards to conflict causing a separation, if you like. There can be at least there's like two parts that are against each other. And in terms of being able to resolve that conflict, instead of being against, how can those two parts, or maybe sometimes there can be more than two parts, but how can those parts then be united and more with each other? And one aspect of healing is wholeness. And so when I think of conflict, I also think of separateness. And so the other idea around this is like, how can you make something whole again? And so, one way is through, for me, when your energy is calm and you're more regulated and you can be more grounded and present, then you can be more open to a whole experience or a healing experience of like the idea of healing a conflict as well. And so that's a very brief overview in terms of Qigong and why I'm bringing it into as part of this time together today, talking about conflict as well. And so we did the pulling down the heavens, and now I'm just going to take you through some very simple movements. You can do this seated. I'll be standing, but you can make a variation of doing these seated, or you may wish, if you've got your own postures or movements that you would like to create for yourself, or perhaps you might just like to take this time. Watch me. I can be your proxy as an example of with the movements that I'm making. And there are breathing sequences, but I know when I was first starting Qigong, I would be very confused about, okay, when to breathe and when not to breathe. So if the breathing sequences that are going along with the movements feel a little bit confusing for you, or they're a bit overwhelming, I would at the very least just invite you to do the movements and just let the breathing be as it is. So, and then maybe later on, if you're watching the replay and the recording, you might want to bring the breathing in to attune to that. So, so let's get started, and we're going to do about 20 minutes or so of the Qigong practice today. And as I said, you're welcome to follow along with me as much as you want to, or just to watch me. So After all that talking that we've been doing, let's just take a moment and let's do 3 pulling down the heavens again, like we did before. And we'll start off with just centering ourselves in the quietness and bringing attention to our breath without trying to change it. Just going to breathe in and out at your own pace. And then just having you do the first pulling down the heavens, and as you come to your waist and approach your shoulders, so just turning your palms up, and then exhaling and imagining that energy washing down the front of your body and releasing into the earth anything that you don't need. If there's a conflict that you're been considering, releasing that into the earth. And on the second in-breath, as you raise your arms and then turn your palms upward, and then release on your out-breath, and bringing in any wisdom around you and imagining that washing down the back of your body, down your spine, behind your legs, down your heels, and into the earth, and releasing anything that's not serving you. And on the third in-breath, any of the wisdom that can be buoyed up, your inner wisdom, and then calling in whatever you need to support you. And now this, you imagine the energy coming down through the top of your head and into your internal organs, the left and right hemispheres of your brain, your throat, your heart, lungs, your liver, gallbladder, stomach and spleen, small and large intestine, reproductive organs, your bones, your circulatory system, all the cells, and then washing down all the way to the bottoms of your feet, the soles of your feet, and into the earth. And then as we complete those 3 pulling down the heavens, now I'm going to go into what's called counter swing. And so this is a purging exercise, so we can purge all those any conflict that we've been thinking, and there's a gentle twist here. So I'll show it to you first, and then we'll just do a few of them together. And so as we raise our arms, and then we're just going to be swinging here. My feet, as I said, it could be in a chair if your chair allows that, and if you've got arms on your chair, you might want to come to the front of your seat, or you could be cross-legged on the floor too. But you're just going to do a squeeze, and if you're standing, you're going to be twisting at the waist, not the knees. So my feet are hips width apart, and my spine is straight again, shoulders down, chin is tucked, so it's forming a straight line as well. And then, like, as I raise my arms, and then we're just imagining squeezing as we're twisting. Then we're tossing out any chi, that any old bad chi that we want, and we're twisting here at the waist, not the knees. And in that twisting motion, we're like squeezing our internal organs. The kidneys are in the lower back. When they're out of balance, they can hold fear, and the liver can be frustrated and have anger and impatience when it's out of balance. So all those are being squeezed here. And the breathing here to add, if you're wanting to do the breathing, is an in-breath here, and then out-breath as you twist, and then an in-breath as your arms come up again, and then out-breath as you're twisting. And if you want to add an extra twist, you can turn your head over the shoulder to the back. And so that's the counter swing as a purging. So let's do that together, just for maybe half a dozen cycles. It's just like, just imagining purging out any of that chi, any of that conflict that you don't need, squeezing out of your organs there, and then you're bringing in refreshing, cleansing, calming, grounding chi. So tossing it out and then like bringing in, and like, as you notice, it could be coming from the earth, and then you're tossing, and you're going to transmute any of that energy that you don't need, the conflict that you don't need. And we'll just do one more cycle, and then we'll end there for the counter swing. Okay. And so now let's do, this one is, it's another purging one, and it's called dropping post. So all it is if you have bring your feet together now from hips width apart, and then just make it just about a fist apart between your feet, so they're closer together than your hips that they were before. Or again, you can do this seated, and then you just like position your feet and then just jump your feet and up and down. It's a bit easier if you are standing. So all we're doing here is with soft knees bending, and we're like we're just like dropping up and down, and like I'm coming onto the balls of my feet, and then I'm dropping down like a pumping motion. And so breathing in and then out. So breaths out and then in and then out. And we're doing a little pumping motion here. I'll just go on the side here. You don't have to turn. But so as you raise up, tippy toes, and then drop down, and you can feel it like it's all your bones and everything is being shaken. You can have your arms down by the side, or you could raise them up, or just like this is like you're going to pretend that you're on a little one of those little trampolines. And when I first started doing this, I would actually get cramps in my feet because I wasn't used to this movement. So if you're finding it hard to raise on your toes and then drop and then bounce up and down on leaving your balls of your feet and raising your heels, just bounce from your knees. That might be easier. So if you're getting fatigued, you can bounce from your knees, and it has similar benefits. And then if you practice this and you get better at it, then you can come up on your toes, tippy toe, breathe in, and then exhale, and then shaking out. So this is really good for your lymph system, and it's like pumping out. It's good for your circulation. It's also very popular. There's lots of variations of this. It's a popular one for losing weight too. So this is like a fun one, and it's like vibrating, and you can feel like your brain is being vibrated. So it's like really good for purging out any stuck energy, toxic emotions, toxicity in your body. So, and if you smile when you're doing Qigong, it gives you an extra Qi boost, gives you a little bit more of a boost of that energy. So we'll just do a couple more bounces here of this. And I'm just turning around just to show you the different postures. And then we'll just let that one go. And so I'm wiggling a bit here as I'm getting ready for the next exercise called trembling horse. And this is another one of shaking off. So what I've done, I'm showing you just some ones to like shake off any turbid chi, any stuck chi, and so conflict can create a lot of stuckness in us as well, those sorts of emotions. And so that's what I've just been shaking that off and helping you clear that energy. And then we're going to do a couple more exercises just to help us to do what's called tonifying as well. So what you want to do in with Qigong is ideally purge, tonify, and then to be doing a regulation. So just the next one is called trembling horse, and this is kind of fun. It makes little kids laugh too, and you laugh too, then that's going to boost your energy and your chi as well. So if you come back to your feet being hips width apart, and then soft knees again, or seated if you like, and then just like flicking your wrist to the back here. And then we're just going to start to shake our hands and up our shoulders and then our spines and shoulders and shimmy, and then we're just like wriggling. And as I said, smile for a chi boost. And so if you want to raise up on your toes and do an in-breath and then drop, so you're kind of bringing in that dropping post idea too. And you can, so that's the flicking that off, and then just you can keep on shaking, or you can stop and give yourself a break. Tip your toes and drop down. I like to kind of bring my arms in as well. So you're like really doing the shake and the shimmy. You're kind of getting rid of all of that, feeling all the muscles moving, and the bones are just being vibrated. And then even just coming up like one of those used car balloons are just up above your body. And then as you want to, just coming out, tip your toes, breathe in, and then out breath. And so just breathing as you're going and just wiggling away. And this one's called trembling horse. So you could, if you want to, do your lips as well, like a trembling horse. So you can do that a bit more. We'll just stop there in the interest of time. So any of these you can pause and do again for longer if you want. And so now we're going to do it's a tonifying one called the 5 Yang exercise. And so this one is where our feet are hips width apart again. And then you're just bringing your arms up in front, and you'll breathe in and then breathe out. And so it's soft knees again, slightly bent. And it's just like you're just rowing with your arms almost. And then I'll just go on the side so you can see it's a rowing motion like this. And so this is really good for your stomach and digestive system as well. It's a great one to do at night before you're about at least an hour before you go to sleep. So if you have any trouble with digesting, so breathing in and then out, and in and out. And there's like a wave that you're making here as well. So we'll just do this one a few times too, breathing in and out, expanding your belly and then releasing. And this is the 5 Yang organ exercise. So it's a tonifying exercise. So imagine like you're just really starting to tone down your energy, and it's just like it's clearing for it. We did all that purging, and so now we're like starting to tone as well. So we'll do this just a few times. And doing that smile again. And if you're seated, you can still be like doing the rocking motion, and you might want to pump your knees a little bit. My feet are staying on the ground though, so they're just flat on the ground too. So this is the 5 Yang. Let's just do 3 more. Breathing in and out, and in and out, and in and out. Okay, so we'll let that one go, and we can now, this is one of my favorites. Might be a little bit more complex, but just follow along as best you can. And it's called Golden Ball. Actually, before we do that, let's play with chi a little bit. So by playing with chi, I'll come a bit closer and I'll do that with you. It's just like, so by playing with chi, we're just going to just imagine, and it's not, you can either visualize, some people might be able to feel like, but just imagining there's a chi ball in your hands, And the chi ball, as I said, it's okay for it to be imaginary. Some people feel tingles or some warmth, but whatever happens, even if you're just imagining that there's a ball there in your hand, you might want to like pretend you're compressing it, like as if there's like a balloon or something between your hands. And so the reason that I'm offering this is because when we do the next one, which is the golden ball, it might be a little bit easier uh, to visualize or to follow if we've already played with our chi here. And so let's take our ball and then let's expand it a little bit more and just see what that feels like. And even if it's just the physical feeling of expansion, that's okay too, because these small movements can be very helpful. And you might want to, you can see my hands are getting bigger. I'm making my chi ball even bigger. I'll just back up here. And so let's turn our chi ball, and we can have it in front of us as well. And so we're like playing with chi here. And we might want to go on an angle or around, back and forth. So my chi ball is going like this, back and forth. So that's the idea of playing with chi. And now we're going to, I'll let that go. And let's do the golden ball exercise. So this is what's called the 8 actions of chi. And one thing I'll just let you know is there's 3 power centers in Qigong. And the first power center is if your fingers are just on your navel and your thumbs are on your navel, and then below that, it's just like that. So that's called your lower dantian, or that's your lower power center. And then the middle is your middle dantian around your heart. And then the third is your upper dantian, so which is just on your forehead, or some people might be familiar with the idea of the third eye there. So they're the 3 centers of the lower dantian, the middle dantian, and the upper dantian. And so I'm maybe referring to those. So I just wanted to let you know that these 8 actions of chi will go through those, through the lower and the middle dantian. So what we're going to do here, again, whether if you're standing, or you can do this seated, but if you're standing, your feet are hips width apart, soft knees again, and we're going to gather the chi into a ball. And I'll give you the breath in a moment, but we're just going to gather that chi ball and then bring it up in front of us. And then we're going to expand and then contract. And then we're going to draw back towards us and then move it forward and then drop it down and then disperse. So let me give you the breathing that goes with that. We've just gather and you're breathing in, ascend and you're breathing out, expand, breathing in, contract, breathing out, draw in, breathing in, release or move forward, breathe out, descend, breathe in, and then disperse, breathe out. And so, as I said, don't worry about the breath too much. If you just want to follow with the movement, and then you can add the breath later. So we're going to gather and then ascend, expand, contract. Don't forget to smile. And then draw back, and then forward, and then descend and disperse. So I'll do it with add the breath again for those that are interested. So gather, and we're inhaling here, ascend, and we'll exhale, expand, and we're inhaling, contract, and we're exhaling. Draw in, inhaling, and then forward, exhaling, and then descend and inhale, and then disperse as exhale. So I'm going to just do it without breathing again and just give you the instructions of gather, rise, expand, contract, gather in, forward, descend, and disperse. And so just follow along in your own time. I'm going to just do it on the side for you here. Gather, ascend, expand, contract, draw in, forward, descend, and disperse. And I'll come forward again, gather, so draw in, breathe in, and then ascend, exhale, expand, inhale, contract, exhale, draw back, inhale, forward, exhale, descend, inhale, and then disperse. So I'm going to just, you can watch me. I'm going to be quiet this time so you can just do it with your own. We'll do 2 cycles. Let's do 3 cycles quietly together, and you can just watch me and I'll let you put the words for yourself. So hopefully you enjoyed that. I always think about that as my Qigong dessert. And that's a regulation to help us regulate in terms of our energy. And then the final one that I'm going to do here is called Guangdong Strokes Beard. So this is another Qigong exercise to help you regulate. And these are all energy. It's also to help you cultivate that energy. Remember, Qigong was the energy, and then the Gong part was the practice and the cultivation. And so these are all for that. So I'll show you the movement, and then we can do it together. And so it's very simple. It's especially dead simple after the golden ball. So you're just drawing up, and you're pretending you've got a beard. So maybe someone there has a beard that's watching, but obviously I don't have a beard. So like drawing up the energy and up the front of the body and then down away from the body. And the breath here is simple as well. So you exhale as you descend and you inhale as you ascend. And I'm just doing it sideways just to show you. So like inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And you can imagine as you're doing this that there's a bead going up your spine, and then it's coming down through the front of your body and coming down your front. And so you can see that energy making that, following that bead or that pearl, if you like, that pearl of energy. And you might even feel it as a sensation or a circuit. So let's do that together for some cycles. Breathing in and up the spine and then down the front of the body. In and up and then down the front of the body. And in, and don't forget to smile, extra chi. We'll do 3 more of this, and then we're going to reverse the cycle. And And this is called Guangdong Strokes Beard. Last one here, up the spine and down the front of the body. And you'll notice my hands are like they're almost like they're scooping the chi, the little chi ball, and then bringing the ball down. I did an extra one there if you were counting. Okay, so now let's just reverse it. And all it is now we're coming up away from the body, and then we're taking that pearl down our spine. Same breathing as you breathe in and rise, and then down the spine. So that pearl is now coming up the front of the body and then down the spine. And so it's a very gentle movement as we're gathering the chi up here and then taking it down the spine. Breathing in and then down. Breathing in and then down. Exhale. Inhale as we go up. Exhale as we go down. And let's do 3 more in this reverse cycle. Last one here, up and then down. Now then let's let that go. And with your feet hips width apart, soft knees, let's just put our hands on our lower dantian there. And you may want to close your eyes and just feel, where is my energy now? What am I aware of in terms of sensations, thoughts, feelings? What's happening for me now in this moment? And now I'm going to invite you to bring your hands together, and we're going to rub them together and make them nice and warm. Let's make some friction here. And I'm going to come closer so you can see. I'll grab my glasses here because I'm coming closer. So, and we're going to put our hands over our eyes, and we're going to breathe that energy from the palms that we generated, that heat from our palms, and we're going to take it into our upper, middle, and lower dantians. And then we're going to take our fingers through our hair. We'll do that 3 times. And we're invigorating some channels here and making my hair crazy. And then we're going to be just smoothing down the chi here, and then we'll have it down the front of our body, down the back of our body, the back of our legs, the side of our legs, the inside of our legs, all the way to our feet. And then as we finish here, just bringing your hands back to your lower dantian, and we're going to do 9 cycles each way on our lower dantian here. So it doesn't matter in the version of Qigong that I do, it doesn't matter if it's your hand, which hand's on top, just choose your preferred hand position, and it doesn't matter which direction you go first either. So 9 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And now we'll go to the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we've just locked in the chi from this practice that we did together. And you may just want to take a moment here, and I'll be quiet in a moment, just for you just to have a sensation, bringing your feet together and just standing, and just whatever's coming up for you, enjoying this, gratitude to yourself for this practice that you've followed today, however you followed was perfect for you. And just noticing what's coming up, and I'll be quiet for just a moment. So I hope, sorry, I'm just very conscious of my hair now. So, I hope that you enjoyed that Qigong sequence, and that is a counter, hopefully, or just like some physical movement that you can do from all of the talking that we were doing, all the considering we were doing, and even the idea of releasing any conflict and being able to purge any energy that was unwanted in terms of what you were doing. And so just offering that for you for the Qigong practice today. So I hope that you enjoyed that. And so now what I would like to offer is, from everything that we've been talking about today, or you've been listening to me talk about today, the questions that I was offering, the Qigong that we did, and what was being what may have come up for you from doing those body movements and the physicality, any emotions, any ideas and different energies. Taking all of that, and I'm going to give a moment for you to consider a metaphor, a word, or a phrase for your experience today. We're starting to wind down into the last half hour or so of our time together today. And I'm just offering something, what I'd like to do is give you something tangible to take away with you. So if there's a symbol, an image, something that you might consider for what you have heard today that could be helpful for you, or maybe there's a word that you came up with in answering those questions or considering those questions, or a word that you heard from me, or a phrase today that you might take away from this time together that might be helpful for you in terms of having that intention for you to go out into your day-to-day for embracing and releasing and having that mindful approach for yourself to acknowledge conflict, of what that could be for you personally. And if you might be struggling a little bit of like, oh, okay, I'm not sure about a metaphor. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So one idea of embracing and releasing is the idea of like a caterpillar in its cocoon and then turning into a butterfly. So the embrace part, as an example of what we did today, is just like, okay, so going into the caterpillar, going into the cocoon, and then it's just like, so that's a cocoon of conflict, if you like, and then coming out of it and emerging and releasing from the cocoon. So that might be a metaphor of that emergence of the caterpillar to the butterfly, as a metaphor for you, for your experience today. Or maybe it was just one aspect of, if we take embrace, it might even be something as simple as, a teddy bear. It's just like, or it might even be a movement like what I just did, or just like, okay, so embracing, or like it could be hands over your heart, like embrace my heart, and then maybe the release could be letting go. So just something that may bring you back to this that you could consider for yourself. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute or so just to see if something is coming up for you. And if it doesn't come up now, it may come up later. So hopefully something, if you don't quite have the word, the metaphor, the phrase yet, maybe something might bubble up for you over the next day or so, or even beyond that, as a reminder of this time. And so the other aspect that I would like to offer for you is that we'll be doing, sorry, I think I forgot to, did I mention that we were going to, I think I mentioned we were going to finish with a meditation. So in about 15 minutes, I will be doing a meditation. Just to, and I'll give you a moment to prepare for that too. But as we start to head into taking this time together into time that you can continue to support for yourself, I would also like to invite you to consider any insights that you have taken away from today, anything you heard, anything that was supportive to help you around the embrace and release and that mindful approach to acknowledging conflict of what that could be for you, and to write down if there were perhaps 2 or 3 aspects from today that you could have as some insights, and or what you may have heard or might have come up for you in terms of what's supportive for you. And then also maybe bringing that back to your intention. So from where you were at the beginning of our time together today and that intention that you set of just how have you fulfilled that intention for yourself? Is there more that you need to do to continue to meet that intention? So I'll give you a couple of minutes just to consider what that could be. And these are effectively something, again, for you to take away with you as a further reminder of our time together today. Okay. I hope that was enough time for you to write something down. And again, if it's something still bubbling up, feel free to come back to that in terms of something that you've taken away for you that you can continue to consider for yourself as you deepen this journey that we're on today is as a starting point for you that I hope has been helpful for you as well. And now to continue on with what you have in front of you in terms of an intention. And then earlier I asked you if there was a metaphor, a word, or a phrase from today that has been to help you anchor this information back in. If there is anything that more that you might consider, and from that, what resources do you know that you have within yourself that you can utilize to continue this concept of your relationship with conflict in respect of embracing and releasing? So what resources might you have, or are there resources that you need to find or create that are outside of what you have within yourself? So there's the inner and external resources. And one of those resources if I can offer, could even be the replay of this and going through this, through snippets of this, or if there are parts of this that resonated with you, this could even be a resource for you as something that you could do. And to add to the next level of this, in terms of your resources, is there an accountability that you're willing to do for yourself in terms of, okay, by next week or in the next month, I want to, answer more of the questions that, or reflect more on what I heard today, of what I've considered today. So being able to have accountability, or if there's resources within yourself of like going back and exploring your relationship with conflict, and by way of when could you do that, and or are the resources something that you seek outside? And so in the next week, in the next month or so, even as soon as the next day, of just giving yourself that timeline of accountability. Or maybe there's someone you want to say to, someone you trust, of like, I would like to be accountable for this action that I can take towards the embracing and releasing with this mindful approach to acknowledging conflict. So if we put in some accountability, and I'll just give you a moment to jot down a timeline for yourself to stay accountable, and what it is that you want to stay accountable to yourself for. Okay, so hopefully, again, that was enough time for the accountability. And as we start to wind down here, I just want to do a very brief summary of our journey together today. Thank you again for your patience in me navigating the technical aspects as we started today, and your grace in being so patient and waiting for me to start. And so we talked very briefly about mindfulness at the beginning of our time together today, and then I offered to you why now and the timing of this. We set an intention, and we did pulling down the heavens together as our first Qigong practice or movement together, and then talked about the idea of embrace and release in terms of those aspects to help you have a mindful approach to acknowledging conflict. And then the three aspects of the embrace and release, to remind you, were explore, expand, and express for embrace, and recognize, respect, and release for release. And so those were the aspects that we looked at in terms of those topics. And then we did our Qigong together, and I gave you a little bit more information about Qigong. I will also quickly add about Qigong that if you are interested and you go and explore, you're going to see lots of different variations of Qigong. There are literally thousands of different variations. And there's more about the history of that that I can share with you if you're interested. But that's why you'll find some different variations. The version of Qigong that I have been trained in is the Taoist. And so then after the Qigong practice, we talked about a metaphor a word or a phrase for today. And these were tools, the next three were tools to help you solidify what you have experienced today. So you can take that. It's not just what you're doing here, but it's also to help you be in the world with this experience as well. So that metaphor, word, or phrase, and then any insights, anything that was supportive, that was helpful for you, and then helping you consider any resources and any accountability for how you can be accountable to yourself in terms of this theme of the relationship with conflict that you could have in this way. And I just also, in closing, just wanted to offer that as a gift to say thank you for those who are in the room, that I will drop you a link for, I have another event that I'm doing at the on November 6th. And so that's just over a week from now, on November 6th, which is my gratitude protocol workshop, which will be actually interactive on Zoom. So rather than this format, which is more just you watching and listening to me so patiently. So that'll be a Zoom one. And to say thank you for those who are live in the room, or if you've been live and watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can send me a note through social media or through my email on my website. And if you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, if it's by 5:15, so 15 minutes after the hour when I close today's session, if you can send me your metaphor, word, or phrase from today by 5:15 Pacific, I will offer you the gift for today, which is a mindfulness worksheet, and the people in this room will automatically get that too. And then also the link for the coupon for the early bird pricing that actually ended on Friday night for the early bird, but I'll extend it as a thank you for people who are here if you're wanting to participate in that event with me. And so just thank you, very much. I'm doing these closing comments now because what I'd like to do in a moment is have you prepare for the meditation that I'm going to offer you, and then I'll just briefly say thank you, and then say goodbye to you so that you don't get your head all full of these sort of logistical things. So thank you again for your patience of being here. My contact information is on my website at Life Career Studio. My name is Rachel Newton at Life Career Studio, not Yash. Yashin Lepay, that's my assistant. If anyone has come in late, it's got that information on there for the live, and I'll fix it up for the replay because of some technicalities. So, but still on we went. And so I'll respond to you within 24 hours if you're sending me a message on social media or by email on my website through for that for the gift that you want, or the coupon if you send me your metaphor, word, or phrase. But again, for those who are in the room, you'll automatically receive that. You're still welcome to send me that information, but that's not going to be contingent on you receiving that link. So as we start to wind down into the last moments to finish in time at 5 o'clock Pacific in 16 minutes now, I'm going to invite you to prepare yourselves in order to be relaxed and undistracted. You might want a blanket, a pillow. If the lights are on, you might want to dim the lights. Just whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. You might want to lean back in your chair or move to the ground or onto a yoga mat just to settle yourself. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to make yourself comfortable and settle yourself before I start the meditation. So I'll just give a moment for that. Okay, so hopefully that's enough time. And if you're still settling, that's all right. I'll start off with some gentle and soft breathing as an invitation. And whatever posture is comfortable for you, whether you're lying down or you're seated, some people even might want to stand, but whatever is comfortable for you is exactly right for this time as we spend about the next 10 minutes in a meditation practice. So with your eyes lowered or even closed, I invite you to start bringing your attention to your breath, breathing in and out at your own rhythm. You're not trying to change your breath. You're just going to be aware and just offering whatever you need to be here, following your breath, finding your rhythm, breathing in and out completely at your own pace. And when you're ready, I'll invite you to deepen your breath, breathing in and out. And as you breathe in, feeling your belly rise. And as you breathe out, feeling the fall of your belly as you exhale. And inviting you to take 3 deeper breaths, expanding your belly and then releasing as you exhale. And whatever is coming up for you, trusting that that is your experience right now. Just offering and paying attention, being present to your experience and allowing that. If there's any thoughts or feelings coming up, even if there's any noises around you in the room or outside the room, they might be part of this experience too. And even that you can notice them is an indication of how present you are to your own experience. Allowing whatever is here to be here without judgment, releasing and letting go of any story, acknowledging yourself being here. And now I'll invite you to bring in whatever it is that you need to embrace any conflict that you're aware of in your life at this time. And as you embrace that, being curious about if there's any curiosity, welcoming, or if there's resistance to the idea of embracing that conflict. As you consider that conflict, maybe an image, a memory, it might be words that you hear. What are the different aspects? What are the different textures of that conflict? What if you were to include a different representation of that conflict. It doesn't have to be a story. It could be an image. It could be a memory. What can you do to distance yourself from that conflict experience? What would it look like if you were to project it onto a TV screen? And so you're watching it as an observer. Or if it were in a book, so you were reading it and creating some distance from that. And from this perspective, how might you explore your relationship with that conflict? How might you consider how you can expand into that and what the capacity is for you to manage the conflict from this perspective? And as you become aware of this, what are the emotions, feelings, sensations, thoughts, and ideas that you're aware of, that you recognize? What do you know about this? And then how might you give yourself permission to express this conflict? And whatever is there, as you have invited this embracing the conflict, I'll offer for you that you could now put this into a safe place, a place where you know you can feel safe with it. So you're no longer against this conflict, but you're with it. And if that's not available to you, you can let that go too. It's only an offering. But if it were available, what would that safe place be? What would it look like? It could be anything that you want it to be. And now, as you consider this, moving to an image of seeing yourself release the conflict, letting it go. And what that letting go could look like, what it could feel like. Maybe there are some words to go with it. Maybe there are some bodily sensations, some physical sensations. What could that look like, feel like, sound like, to release that conflict? And there's nothing to do here. Anything that you're experiencing is exactly right for you. And now, however your conflict is coming to you, just asking if it has a message for you. And if it does, what is that message? It's just for you. And now, as you hear that message, I want to invite you to write that message down on a piece of paper in that beautiful imagination of yours. And as you've written it down on the piece of paper, fold up the piece of paper and put it in an envelope. And you can put that envelope somewhere where you can get it later when you need it. And if the message isn't fully formed yet, you could just put that empty sheet of paper in an envelope for later. And so it can be there for when you need it, when you're ready to write something down on it. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to take 3 deeper breaths. And at the end of those 3 deeper breaths, to very gently start to move your fingers and toes. Maybe turn your head side to side. Perhaps have a big stretch or a little stretch. Just bringing yourself back into the room in your own time. So when you're ready, allowing yourself to take 3 deeper, mindful breaths, breathing all the way into your belly and exhaling, releasing that breath 3 times in your own rhythm. And as you come back to the room, if you open your eyes, if they've been closed, or if they've been lowered, just gently looking around the room, coming back here as we finish our time together for today. So thank you again, everyone, for being with me. And once again, I appreciate your grace, your patience with me as we started today. And I would love to hear your experiences. If you would like to send me a message, a private message, that would be lovely as your week progresses, or maybe pop something in as a message to me by email or through social media. I do have my this will be available for recording, so you're welcome to share it as well. And I thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Rachel Newton, and I'm an integrated career coach at Life Career Studio in Vancouver, Canada. And I look forward to seeing some, if not all of you, again very soon. Thank you very much, everyone, for being part of my embrace and release and this mindful approach to acknowledging conflict. My hope and wish for you is that you are able to resolve and have calm from the conflict, and that something here was helpful and supportive for you in coming to that resolution. Thank you, everyone. Take care.